back. We're live. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I know last time I screwed your name up.
Hi, everyone. I am Shetan Noir. I am the owner of Squatch GQ Publications. I am a cryptozoologist and a paranormal investigator. I am an author. I am a presenter, and I teach courses on the paranormal history of the Great Lakes and cryptozoology of North America. And I'm located in Michigan, so centrally located to everything spooky and scary.
Yeah, Michigan has a kind of a rich history, doesn't it?
We have our list of characters. We have the Dog Man. We have the Nain Rouge. We have Bigfoot, plenty of Bigfoot. We have lake monsters. Only thing we don't really have a whole lot of reports is flying cryptids. So yeah, we don't really have a whole lot of those. So they're out there probably, but we just don't get reports of them.
Chicago area has gotten quite a few of those.
There are some reports of the Mothman sightings, the Lake Michigan Mothman. I don't put too much stock into those reports. I think that some of them are fictitious and just added to the file to beef it up. But I put more stock into the West Virginia. He's the original, so I put more into stock into that guy.
Looking for fame.
Somebody told me I think it was off camera, one of our guests, that actually from the Illinois area, basically said that a lot of the Mothman sightings around like O'Hare or the Chicagoland area and so on and so forth are a lot of misidentifications.
I think so.
And somebody did some research to prove that fact.
Yes, Allison Jordan. Yep. And she actually did a YouTube series on it where she went to all the different locations and kind of fact checked and showed how if something was in that area, then if something's around O'Hare Airport, that's a major news story, and it would get much more coverage than what it did.
Right.
So
right. And O'Hare is such a huge airport that small craft on a foggy night could play tricks with the mind.
Yeah.
And
considering they will ground like the flights if there's even geese in the area. You're telling me they were letting planes take off and come in with a something with a 10-foot wingspan flying around? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
That just brings that old Creepers movie where the guy sees the thing on the airplane window and he tries telling everybody and they refuse to listen to him and it tears up the engine and then they start to crash.
That was Twilight Zone?
I was just going to say that sounds like Twilight Zone movie.
Yes.
And that was a gremlin.
Yes.
That one was the Twilight Zone and that was a gremlin.
Yeah, that's what pops into mind when I see that or think of that. I'm like, yeah, no. I think everybody like my age or 30 years or older has seen that movie as like, nope, that's a no.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. And then you got the movie Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
That one kind of would be like the Mothman.
Kind of, sort of. I guess they got that idea from actually the Michigan backcountry driving around. And it, whenever I'm traveling or stuff like that, I'm like, crap, this is just how those movies begin. I'm looking for cryptids or I'm investigating something paranormal, and boy, doesn't that look like a great cornfield for something to come flying out of, and or
well, not just that, they gotta watch out for the kids too.
Yeah.
that reminds us of the night that we drove down Bray Road for the first time. That was kind of creepy in and of itself.
That road, dark as hell. The only lights you see are from the residents that are in the area,
Uh-huh.
and they're
the moon was
sparse.
lucky.
And if the moon's shining, that's your light. That's how dark it is out there.
Now, see, last time I was in Elkhorn, which was for the Beasts of Bray Road conference back this spring, the only terrifying thing that I had was just as the conference got over and I had stopped to get gas, the tornado sirens went off. And they're like, nope, everybody in the back stack room. And we're like, shit. And like they're like, nope, for the next 20 minutes that's where we're all going to be. And like,
Here too.
can I
that
just
day.
go across the street to the grocery store? Because gas station tornado, that just doesn't sound like a safe,
No, next thing you know, boom,
yeah. So
takes them pumps down and you got
Hey,
explosion.
it's up to you. You can leave. You don't have to go into that back room.
yeah, so I did. I went to the grocery store across the street and grabbed my little service dog and we went into the store and we're like, okay, we're here for the tornado. And they're like, everybody to the back, away from the glass windows. And I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
I'm not holding up in a gas station during a tornado. I'm sorry. That just
No, I wouldn't either. But then I'm more of a storm chaser. I'd rather chase it myself.
I would be.
it was plenty interesting because when they gave the all clear, I had a full tank of gas and I was like, okay, I'm headed towards, Chicago. And it was like, it was following and the thunderstorms and the high winds. And I finally stopped at the Welcome Center right there in Wisconsin before the Chicago or the Illinois border. And I pulled over there just to wait it out because it was getting pretty scary. And it just did that for the rest of the night. And it was like, no matter which way I wanted to go, there was thunderstorms and tornadoes.
Yep.
So I just sat for a while.
Yep, pretty much. That was a pretty nasty couple of days we had there.
That was.
But to see me, I'd be like Bill from Twister. I'd be running out there butt naked with a bottle of whiskey and taking a big old swig and then throwing it at the tornado. Saying,
Well,
"Here,
if it's during the daytime and you can see which direction it's going, that's cool. But at night, it's like, shit. Which am I driving into it? Am I driving away from it? Is it coming alongside me? So I'm like, I will just sit here at the rest area and
I love
you know,
storms. I love storms. The more violent the storm, the more fun I have watching them.
Oh hell yeah!
You know, my dad and I used to go survey the damage afterwards.
Now that I got a nice house and everything, I'll set it out. I'll set out back or I'll set out in front. I got an overhang porch in front. I'll sit out there and watch them come in and out.
I just open that big garage door of yours and just stand in there and watch the whole thing. Perfect.
Yeah, I got to replace that garage door. But nah. Anyway, yeah, my house is built in 1900.
ooh,
So it's 122 years old, and
nice.
there is activity in here.
And the kitchen
Cool.
is gorgeous. That kitchen,
Yeah,
those walls and the woodwork. That is just
he
gorgeous.
likes my kitchen. It's got the kitchen and dining room are as big as the living room all put together, and they're covered with knotty pine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hard.
My parents when they
It's got carvings in it though too.
oh, cool.
No, none doesn't. No, there's no carvings in it. It's all knotty pine and it's stained.
Oh, it looks cool as hell.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
when my parents remodeled and redid their living room, they did it all in knotty pine, and it has that log cabin feel to it.
Yeah,
So,
it does.
Yes.
It really looks. It really
It's
looks amazing.
It definitely was a selling point for the house because it was beautiful. So, but anyway, what have you been up to?
oh well, now that we've chit chatted, so I am the new owner of Squatch TQ magazines, and currently I'm producing 4 magazines quarterly. Squatch DQ magazine, Cryptozoology Digest, Into the Liminal Abyss paranormal magazine, and Dinosauria and Prehistoric Creatures magazine. So that keeps me busy with the writing. And then I do speaking engagements at public libraries on paranormal cryptozoology and paracons doing presentations.
Cool, cool. So, all right, let's chat a little bit here with this.
Okay.
Since you are big time into the cryptids,
Yes.
and there are actually people out there that believe that the dinosaurs that never died out, that there are
There,
some
there
still
are
left.
there are certain.
Would they be considered cryptids, or would they be considered a different type
So
area?
they do call them cryptids, and it's because with the lake monsters, we've never really caught any of the lake monsters. So to me, there's six categories of lake monsters. There's giant fish, there's giant turtles, which a giant turtle is prehistoric because that's a couple of 100 years old.
Well, yeah, they
Or
But we
more?
also know that
well.
there were species like Archelon, which was a giant turtle that was bigger than a Volkswagen Bug.
Oh,
You see a turtle swimming around like that, you're like, yeah, that's an old turtle. But we
Mhm.
also have the sea serpents. We have the prehistoric marine reptiles like plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, ichthyosaurs. And then you've got your amalgamations, which are more Native American legends, um, which combine a lot of different aspects of natural creatures into one creature. And then you've got like the merfolk or the scalenoids that are half human, half fish, or half, sea creature. And so in those, categories with the prehistoric marine reptiles, everybody thinks that Loch Ness is a plesiosaur. And certainly we get reports around the world of, we saw a plesiosaur. And scientists will say, no, that's impossible, but they weren't there at that time to see what the person saw.
right.
And
Right.
from like Papua New Guinea, you get reports of pterodactyl type creatures, or what they call the ropens.
That's almost what I thought I saw that one.
And people will deny that and say, no, you clearly didn't see that. But they weren't there at that time, so how can they definitively say, no, that's not what you saw?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, there, yes, there could be a natural explanation. I know here where I live in Michigan, we've got the sandhill cranes and we've got heron and stuff like that. And when those guys fly overhead of you, and
They look amazing.
they when they're silhouetted against the sky, they look like pterodactyls. And I
Yeah,
call
They're
them,
they do.
huge.
And
I
they
like
have huge wingspans.
Yeah, they do.
and with the way that their legs and their feet extend back behind them, it looks like a long reptilian tail. And
Mhm.
I always say, oh, there goes the pterodactyls. But that doesn't mean that we're not, or people are not seeing something. And whether it's a living, breathing creature or it is a residual haunting of some kind. And, that stone tape theory where events replay themselves. If you have a mass
Mhm.
extinction event in an area, well, those animals, that is a very traumatic experience for them. That energy gets stuck, gets trapped in the rocks. And if their skeleton remains there or fossils, why wouldn't it
Yeah,
rebroadcast
why?
itself?
Yeah, I mean, people see full apparitions and stuff of people. Why not
Right,
dinosaurs, dogs, whatever? That
exactly.
because of a violent death.
Well,
It's
that's the thing. You get these traumatic incidents that happen. Almost every traumatic incident that happens will produce an imprint.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
And
that
so
dinosaur thing was an ELE.
and that's kind of what I theorize is, that could be an explanation of why people see certain things at certain times of the year. And it's either because those creatures were in that area for a migrating purpose or a breeding, purpose, and they got caught in a weather situation where they all drowned, or
Right.
there was a drought where they expected water and they got, you know,
Right.
left to die on the surface. Um, there's people who swear that they hear a stampede of cattle or horses, and there's none in the local area. But 100 years ago, buffalo could have been, chased through there and slaughtered, and that was a very traumatic event for those animals, and they leave that impression literally stamped into the ground. So
Oh,
that
you'd
is
hear
a
them.
possibility.
You'd hear them stampeding for sure.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I've been around some of those bison or buffalo, and those things get pretty big. And
yeah, and
when
imagine.
they decide to move all at once in a group, you can hear it. But if you're
Yes,
close enough, you can also feel it in the ground because you'll feel the
Mhm.
ground shake a little bit like a tremor.
and we know that throughout American history, that one of the ways that the white Americans decided to uh, torment the Native Americans was they chased down herds of buffalo and slaughtered them.
Yeah,
Yep.
slaughtered them. Where the Native
And
Americans were
they
only killing.
chased down the Mustangs, the Appaloosas, and they slaughtered them for no other reason than it was their way of trying to make life hard for the Native Americans. Well, those animals each have a life. They each have a personality. They each have energy to them. And when they are running for their lives in terror,
Mhm.
then that produces an energy signature and it's stamped into the ground. So you do, experience that from time to time. So I'm thinking that if humans can leave an energy, signature that people pick up on, that's a full apparition or a residual haunting. Animals of any type can
Okay,
also.
animals.
Oh,
Yeah.
any other living life form should be able to.
Yeah. Pretty much any of them. So, but what do you say to people that say that sometimes when you're seeing stuff like that, it could be um, like a dimensional portal that's opening in
That
or a time rift or something like that that
and
causes it.
that is a possibility too, because you know it's for as advanced as we are scientifically and technologically, there's still things that we cannot explain, and
Right.
interdimensional travel is something that we don't have, as far as I know, a grasp on. And when you have things like ley lines, when you have different precious metals, gemstones still in the ground that produce a vibration, that
Mm-hmm.
we all know that those things are scientifically proven to have energy sources of their own. These create phenomenon. When you're dealing with sand, what is sand? It's micro quartz crystals or silica crystals.
Right.
And that's, if you die in a shipwreck or you drowned in a lake and you're surrounded by sand, well, guess what's going to absorb your energy and keep replaying you?
Yeah.
Or
Sand.
your last few
But
minutes of life. Sand
but
will do.
Or the
that's
water.
but see that's the cool thing about sand. Sand, when you pick it up and you hold it in your hand, it's got the color to it, and
Yep.
it's not transparent. But if you put it in a furnace or a blast furnace or something, to where it gets to that molten spot, and you pour it out, it'll solidify and be clear,
Yes.
Yeah,
which is
glass.
right.
Yep.
You turn the sand into glass.
Right.
So in its raw stage, or its molecular type, it's not transparent. It's solid. You can't see through it. But once you melt it down and combine it into each other, it'll create a plate or whatever that you can look through. You know,
Yeah. And
and,
so,
and being silicon, that's
mhm.
and some crystals can do that too.
Right. And so, we've got so many different natural occurring phenomenons um, around the world. And there's no telling where a portal will open, where it will close. People go missing all the time, and
Yep.
there's no explanation for it. And half the time, their bodies are never found. So you have to wonder, where did that person go?
Right.
Did a portal open up and they just walked through it and didn't even realize it? Did they, become prey for either a human or animal predator?
Right, right, right.
It's just, there's with interdimensional stuff, it's just it's very fascinating because there's no explanation for it, and we really haven't like gathered the full grasp of what it means to be interdimensional and how you could travel, use it for travel, or where it, when you go from our world, where do you, and you go into one of those, where do you pop back out?
Or
Right.
when maybe.
Right.
Well,
Because you've got some of those people that I don't know if they're crazy or if they're telling the truth or what, but they claim, "Oh, I'm a time traveler." You know how many
Exactly.
times I've seen those stories?
oh, there's a lot of them on the internet.
And yeah, but some of them are pretty believable, especially when you look at some of
Mhm.
these pictures. And I'm not an expert or anything, but I've been able to spot photoshops,
Yeah.
especially pretty good ones. And I don't know, some of these photos look pretty authentic. That
Well, it
I've
is
seen.
interesting. I mean, there is that possibility.
But then again, what if it's a doppelganger where everybody's got like how they say that where you like maybe it's a picture of you in your past life
Right.
and it's not really you,
Well,
kind of type thing.
I do believe that.
And the guy's saying, "Oh, I'm a time traveler," and what he did was found a distant relative or something that
Right.
looked just like him in the old west. You
Right.
know.
And I do believe that there's at least a copy of you somewhere else around
Oh,
the
I
world.
know there is. I know there is. I got arrested
And
twice
yep.
because of the dude.
And
And
so
that scares me every
and
day.
and it's true because you will come across people who are from two different parts of the world, and yet they look identical. They're not related.
This
They
guy was in the same state.
Yeah, and it's
That's pretty
that kind
rare.
of stuff is very fascinating. But then you look at, so like dog breeds, like all Rottweilers. If you compare them, if you had 100 Rottweilers standing next to each other, most of them, 75% of them, would look identical. And you
Yeah,
would be hard pressed to find your dog in that mix up if your dog, wasn't going to come when it's called. And I don't think that with humans that everybody, we are individuals, personality wise, life wise, individual wise. But I do believe that there's at least one copy of every
I think there's
person
more.
out there, if not more. And I think it's just because there's only so many shapes and forms humans come in,
Right.
and a repeat process
It's
happens.
more than likely.
well, we currently, the human race is currently 9 billion people on a planet that's only designed to support around 5 billion.
Yeah,
And out of 9 billion combinations, there's got to be some repeating there.
Well, we know where one of your doppelgangers is. See him on TV all the time.
Nope. I look nothing
I
like him.
I just can't remember his name right off the top of my tongue.
Well, one of your doppelgangers is 6 feet under now because he passed away.
Yeah, he deserved it though. He was an evil SOB.
So are you.
I know. I know. I'm so evil that if I walk onto church grounds, you'll believe in spontaneous combustion.
He burst into flames.
True. That's why
But
my
no,
mom said I look like Charles Manson.
no, you're not that creepy looking.
I did before my facial hair went gray and it was longer. When she said that, it was funny.
so since I got you talking about stuff like that, um, what do you think about the possibility of Megalodon being around still?
So I think it is possible, and there are people who will argue this with me,
I won't.
but I don't think that they are the massive species that they were before. I think that
agree.
they are smaller and could very easily be mistaken for great white sharks. But I think because the prey got um, smaller, the prey that
Hmm.
they were used to eating,
They
and
adapt.
they had to compete with smaller
They
predators
had to adapt.
They had to
like
adapt.
like the great white, like the bull shark, that over a period of time, I think that they became smaller themselves, and these bigger sharks that people might be seeing, these 20-footers, I think those are actually megalodons,
Yeah, it was
and I think
It's a possibility.
like that
I
famous
do.
one, that famous great white that they've been tracking. It's got a name like torpedo or something because it's so huge.
Submarine,
Submarine, that's it.
submarine. He was supposed to be off of. He went between South Africa and Australia, but they are pretty sure that somebody caught him and killed him.
Oh, that's too
Um,
bad.
he was
Well,
he was quite an old shark, but these big great whites that they see, like great blue or deep blue, we know she's a great white, but if you were to see that shark swimming, you would think, oh shit, that's a 20-footer, and she's
easy.
massive. And if it's possible for the megalodon to breed with the great white, then
Then that would be
you're
it.
looking at a hybrid species that
Hmm.
could have, replaced the megalodon. So,
Yep,
you know,
anything's possible.
yes, and they are still finding new shark species to this day.
Well, what
The
is it? We're
oceans
all like,
are vast and wonderful, and there's always new things that they're finding.
yeah.
Well,
I think we've only explored like 15% now of
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
oceans.
like,
you know,
for a century now, we thought that Moby Dick was a wonderful work of fiction. A great giant, white whale that, attacked a boat. Well, lo and behold, there are white sperm whales out there swimming
Hmm.
around,
well, it's
and,
albinoism.
lo and behold, they are real.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, why
scientists would
not?
have said 10 years ago, scientists would have said, "Oh no, that's a work of fiction. They
It's
can't be all white.
That's like the DNR saying that the Black Panthers don't exist.
No, they exist."
You
Yeah.
know, well, all they are is just basically a jaguar or a leopard or a
Right.
cat of some type with that the opposite of albinoism.
Uh,
It's like
um,
a
yeah, melanistic.
yeah. So that's all it is.
Yep.
So here we are in Wisconsin. We have one big cat that if it was black, it could easily be mistaken for a panther. Oh no, that's not possible. Why not? It's
Well,
possible in
and
any
but
other animal alive.
here's an interesting, you know, I've heard various reports of mountain lions, cougars
Yeah,
that are very dark in color, and
Hmm.
if you get two of them breeding together, that produces more likelihood of a darker, more solid black animal.
and that could be what they're seeing out here.
And it just depends on the color genetics of animals. We had here
Hmm.
at my house, we had one litter of albino white squirrels that were born. They did not last very long into summer because they did not realize they were white.
Right.
They did not blend in with the green trees, and the hawks and stuff were picking them off left and
Oh
right.
yeah.
We have not seen them since, so they don't last very long. But we do know that white deer are possible. We
Hmm.
have
Oh
those.
yeah. I saw one.
Actually,
We
I
have
seen
those
a
here in
trail
Livingston
cam.
County.
I seen a trail cam video of an entire herd, or well, of like 4 or 5 white deer actually together.
Yep.
And
So
it was right. It was right here in Wisconsin.
yeah. So you have your baseline of the normal everyday color, but then you get some variants where you go lighter into albinoism, and then you
Right.
go darker into the melanistic,
Right.
and then you've got black panthers or you've
Right.
got white panthers. And
So these are what would be considered mutations.
yes, genetic.
So genetic mutations, right?
Right.
But they're natural. They're
Oh yeah,
nature.
Yeah.
Nature
Natural
has
occurrence.
caused it. So again, with the species of the megalodon, there again, this is kind of coming right back around, where they could have shrank in size because of the fact that they had to adapt to their surroundings in order to be able to survive it.
right.
It's a survival instinct.
Right. You know, and there
Everything
again,
got it.
who's to say that the great white itself is not a smaller version of the megalodon?
Yeah,
Or
I
maybe
know.
that is what the megalodon became.
I know that there are still reports of this to this day down in the Gulf of uh, I believe it's either the Gulf of Mexico or the Baja Peninsula by California. They call them
Sea of
El
Cortez.
yeah, the Sea of Cortez, the El
That's
Diablo.
that's the part
Yep.
that the Sea of Cortez runs between the coast of Mexico and the Baja Peninsula.
Yes, and
And that is literally in that area, that is literally the deepest part of it's like a freaking trench there.
yes, and there have been reports for over 100 years of a gigantic black shark that lives in that area. Well, if that gigantic black shark bred to anything else of its species, then at least one or two of those offspring will carry his genetic mutation, and
Right.
if they breed with other members of the family that have that genetic mutation, then they can reproduce themselves. So initially, you might have got this one gigantic black shark, but now if it's been breeding and passing off that genetic defect, then you've
Hmm.
got a whole uh,
And
three of them.
here's another really interesting little tidbit that a lot of people don't know about the Sea of Cortez. It's teeming with life of squid,
Oh,
and there are
the Humboldt squids.
there yes, but there are reports that deeper down in the depths
Giant
that
squid.
there are architeuthis, the
Yep.
giant squid.
Kraken.
Yep.
Kraken.
And there's the giant squid, which is longer, and then there's the colossal squid, which is thicker and more rotund. Um, so
This
there's
is the reason I don't go near ocean water.
so either one of these, coming and like the Humboldt squid, a 6 foot Humboldt squid can easily pull a adult human being, 5'8", 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, down to the depths, and you'll never see them again. What?
Yep,
Believe
and
it.
it's actually been reported that that has happened.
Yes, they are
There
very
have
they
been
are a very
there
aggressive species.
yes, they're extremely aggressive.
Well,
And there are fishermen
Yep.
that go out in the smaller boats, and there are reports of them being pulled off of those boats by those squid.
What
Yep.
was it? There was like those underwater. They have like on some. They had this one. It was I can't remember where it was. They had an underwater camera. It was always
That
mounted.
was Monster
It-
Quest.
Yeah, it was like always mounted, and the thing was attacking the camera.
Yep.
It was pretty aggressive.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to run into anything like that. And I already believe Megalodon's still out there. As it is.
Or a version of it.
Yeah, and that sucker scares the hell out of me.
And then you also, because you're also into the Sasquatch and Bigfoot, this also kind of falls in this place too, because we were talking about dimensional portals possibly. A lot of people, or a lot of so-called experts, are saying that the Bigfoot possibly could be a dimensional creature.
That is a possibility, but I think there's two variations on the Bigfoot equation. I do believe that there is a natural occurring species here on Earth that is part of the primate family tree, and
Are you thinking they're descendants from the Gigantopithecus?
yes. So whereas humans went more technology and modern day and we use tools and we have a higher brain capacity, I think that the Bigfoot, the Sasquatches, went towards the giant ape side. And yes, they can use tools. Yes, they have a proper communication in that's interspecies, but they have learned to avoid humans very well. But I think that there are also extraterrestrial creatures that look like bipedal primates. And I think people are either seeing the natural occurring Sasquatch that's part of our fossil record, or they are seeing the extraterrestrials that are just here on Earth observing us. And because there are a lot of reports where Bigfoot sightings are reported alongside of UFO sightings.
Right.
True.
And then
Yep.
and
Yep.
then most of the believable witnesses usually say that the thing was just sitting there watching me and I was sitting there staring at it for a while, you know.
Yes.
So I believe that if it's like like you said, an alien type thing, they're here just, like you said, to observe, watchers,
Yeah, and
watchers.
if they are very compatible, as if the extraterrestrial Bigfoot or interdimensional Bigfoot is compatible with the natural occurring Bigfoot, there could be breeding going on, and that's when we get this where people say that they can cloak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
possibly. Now,
and
now
there's that
the one
possibility.
well one of the theories on it could also be that the interdimensional or alien type Bigfoot has been around long enough that maybe they interbred
Yeah.
with
They
the
kind of bred with something.
Gigantopithecus,
Yes,
and then
that's possible too.
that created an indigenous type of
Hmm.
Bigfoot,
Because
and maybe the natural occurring Bigfoot is a hybrid.
all right, here's another thought on this subject. I love
I love stuff like this.
cryptids are my favorite subject. But with the Bigfoot, you get a lot of witnesses coming out and saying, "Okay, I was walking through, and all of a sudden, this thing, I was feeling like I was being watched, and then they started throwing rocks at me." Okay, all right, that's the kind of sighting that I think is one that's like indigenous to here. Okay, because they're not trying to hurt you, but they're trying to get you to leave, you know,
Right.
and stop looking because you're invading their territory or their space, and you're making them nervous. Okay, so they're throwing rocks because if they wanted to kill you or something, and so when you get those ones about being attacked by a Bigfoot, and there's a few of them out there, those are the ones that I'm skeptical to believe their stories. You know, because I don't think they'd harm you. They're either a watcher, like a from the UFOs, alien type watcher, just sitting there watching, and then you get these witnesses reports saying, "Oh yeah, I just sat there and I stared at this thing for like 2 minutes, and then it was gone. It took off,
Yeah.
started."
But
You know,
I think it also depends on. So we know with the wild great apes, chimpanzees, orangutans, that when it's breeding seasons, the males do not like to be messed with. And
Right?
if they perceive you as a threat, then you better hope you can get something solid in between you and them, because they will tear you apart. A chimpanzee can tear you apart faster than a pit bull can. Um,
Yep.
they have no qualms about it, and they will do that for any number of reasons. Whether you've provoked them, whether you've challenged them, whether they see you as a threat to either their offspring or their females or their resources of food. Um, this is all things that people have to take into consideration. Where you essentially, even though Bigfoots, I do believe, are of a higher intelligence, they are, smarter than your deer or anything else like that. They're still wild, and they
right?
still will behave like an animal. And unless you understand animal behavior and species behavior of what is appropriate in interactions and what isn't, then you put yourself in a lot of danger. For instance, tourists who go over to India where they have the different monkeys right there,
McCants.
the macaques. So they will steal off of you, and
Mm-hmm.
you do not get your belongings back. And they said the worst thing that you can do is smile at them and show your teeth, because in monkey language, that's a sign of aggression. Doing
Yep.
this
Oh
is
yeah.
showing your teeth and showing that you want to fight.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
the last thing you want is a troop of monkeys attacking you, because they will attack you, take what they want, kill you, and run off.
You might not look
That's
big, but
that's
they can beat
how
the hell
they,
out of you.
yeah. And so what is a normal expression to us of smiling and showing your teeth, that is actually a sign of aggression to monkeys. And actually,
To the
dogs
primate.
dogs will see that as a sign of aggression too.
Oh, I
Showing,
know that.
baring your teeth to a dog. Some people, oh, it's a little chihuahua. I've got well, guess what?
Ankle biter.
You are now challenging him,
To a
and
fight.
you should be glad that that's only a 3-pound chihuahua and not a 150-pound Connie Corso Mastiff or
See,
something
but
like
when you
that.
do that, you also gotta be. You gotta know what you're doing too.
Right, right.
Because in some cases, like when you have the breed of dog I have, okay, you have to immediately become alpha male or you're screwed. Okay.
Not
I have
just
a
alpha male,
Siberian
alpha
Husky,
female.
okay, and they're a pack dog. And if you don't become alpha male when you first get that dog, you're gonna have a hell of a time training it and getting it to behave.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've got the Connie Corso Mastiff, I've got miniature pinchers, and we've got a German Shepherd. Those are all highly intelligent breeds that you have to start training them from day one. Otherwise, you're going to have a nightmare on your hands.
Oh yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
luckily, the only one that I have who's a Spitfire is 7 pounds, so she's easily contained. Um, but yeah, it's you have to know animal behavior. If you're going to go hiking in the woods or you're going to go looking for these creatures, you have to have some sense of animal behavior, so you
Right.
know what the
Well,
rules of engagement are.
and you want to know that your surroundings, what you could possibly run into in the wild.
Right.
You
Yes.
know, I mean,
No.
Like if you see a Bigfoot, do not do the King Kong thing where you beat on your chest, because that is a sign of that's a challenge. And do
Mm-hmm.
you want to take on a 7 foot, Bigfoot?
I don't think so.
When a 4 pound chimpanzee or a 4 foot tall chimpanzee could tear you apart, Bigfoot is going to have
Yeah.
a field day with you.
No, you want to do whatever you can to make sure you don't pose a threat.
Yes, you want to be submissive. You want to show that you're not a threat. You want to back
Right.
out of the situation and be, okay, I'm going this way because I don't want to challenge you.
Right.
Now, run across a black bear or brown bear, noise and putting your arms up,
Oh yeah,
showing yourself
my
bigger than them, will run them up.
my 7 pound miniature pinchers
A,
chased off black bear before.
a grizzly,
No,
a grizzly will destroy your ass.
yeah,
I don't know. That one grizzly looked like he was pretty playful that one night.
Yeah, but he's behind bars.
I
He was
know.
in
yeah.
a cage. Um,
Now the only chance you have, the only
cougars,
chance,
the cats are same way. You got to kind of make yourself look a lot bigger than them,
Look,
because if you don't, they're gonna
you know, the problem
see
with a
you as
cougar
prey.
is you're not going to see it before it attacks you.
right?
They're going to be
You,
stalking you before you even
yeah,
know they're stalking you.
Yeah,
that's why you
best
gotta have that's why you gotta have a little bit of a sixth sense.
And then,
your best defense against grizzly attack or a cougar attack is to have a dog man from a leash next to you, and let that take on
and then if you sit there and if you run into one wolf out in the wild, you better be careful. That
yeah,
one wolf is just a scout. You're
yep.
surrounded, buddy.
Yep,
And that's
That
the
whole
same
pack's got you surrounded.
and that's the
yep.
same behavior that we believe that the dog men have is. It's not the dog man that you see that you need to be worried about. It's all the
It's
ones
the
that
pack.
are hiding nearby, and you've just walked
It's
into their trap.
it's the pack.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the way wolf is. you know, they have scouts. A wolf pack.
They're a pack hunter, so
Your
they,
alpha. Your alpha will always trail the pack. He does not ever lead.
Mm-hmm.
Your lead, you have 3 to 4 wolves in the pack that do a lead, and those are your scouts. And then you have the female. Then you have the female alpha and her posse, and then behind them are the elderly and the young.
Yep.
And then there's another set behind them of a like a scout type, and then you have the alpha.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it. I know the I know the setup of a wolf pack. They're a very intelligent animal.
Oh yes.
Now,
that's why
you said you have a mastiff, but do you know why the mastiff's breed came about?
Well, the Cane Corso Mastiff is the Italian Mastiff, but so the Mastiff or the Molosser Scold breeds actually came from Rome, and they were used as guard dogs. They were used fighting with the gladiators. But when they traveled up into Britain to conquer like the northern part of the continent, some of these molosters, some of these mastiffs started breeding with wolves and other species, and this is how you get things like your border collie, your hunting dogs, your Siberian huskies, and so. But the mastiffs they originated in Rome and Greece, where they were used for hunting and guardian.
And then was it English and French? The dukes of the land would raise the mastiffs to take down the wolf packs that would roam the lands there.
Yeah,
and that's why they put spike collars on them. 2 male bull mastiffs. I can't remember which part of the mastiff breed, but only takes 2, and they can take down an entire pack of wolves.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the Cane Corso Mastiff, the Italian Mastiff. Cane means canine. Corso means runner. And so they are about 150 pounds. They are streamlined. They are athletic. And these guys are meant to run down wild boar, wild dogs, wolves, anything that might threaten. They are livestock protection dog. They are extremely fast. My very first one that I had, she lived to be like 17. She had stage 4 hip dysplasia in both back legs. But I walked her every day, so she had muscle upon muscle. This dog could run down a 4-wheeler going at top speed, grab it by the tires, and yank the tires off of the 4-wheeler as it was still going.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how powerful and fast this breed is. They are hyper intelligent. By the time she was 2, she figured out how to open up our back sliding glass door wall. So we had to switch to a regular door. She would chain link fence. She figured out how to open it. So we had to always make sure that something was latched in there to block it. And when that didn't work, she found a way to climb the chain link fence and get up.
That's what I got to worry about with her.
Joe, doesn't that kind of sound like somebody?
She was a very hard dog to outsmart. Now, my current Cane Corso Mastiff, she's a little bit dumber, which I love. I love the fact she's dumber than my first one. She's still as big and powerful, but she has. I call her. Her name's Gorgira, but I call her my dumpling because she's just a little bit dumber than my original first one. And it's like, oh, it's so nice to have a dog that's not smarter than me. I mean,
I had a Rot Lab mix. Got him when he was 6 months old. Started teaching him what I could, what he would want to learn. We nicknamed him, or my ex-wife nicknamed him Houdini Dog, because I built a chain link 6x12 kennel, and I put brick down so wouldn't get muddy and all that. He figured out how to open the latch on the door.
Yep.
So he would pop that latch and get out whenever we were at work.
Houdini.
So I put 2 latches on it. He figured out how to pop both of them. And one was up high and the other was down lower.
Maximum.
Okay, so I started locking him. All right. At that point, he went up over the fence.
He's a big dog, though.
What the hell, So I put
a
top on it, so he couldn't get out of it. So and then after that, first dog I ever seen literally chew a hole in a chain link fence.
Yep.
He broke. No, I'm serious. He broke.
Yeah, but
the chain link.
He may be
by chewing it.
What was it? What was the mix?
Rot Lab mix. He looked like
That's
a Labrador. He
had the jaws of the Rottweiler.
Yep.
But he had the jaws and the body
of the Rottweiler.
The muscle structure of a Rottweiler. And he was a tough little nut. He weighed 120 pounds.
And a unique boat. A very unique
he was a brindle. I had a doghouse in his pen too. And he would get up on top of that and jump out. And then when I put that roof on there, he would literally move the doghouse to a spot where he could get out. Then I put a spike in to anchor the doghouse down. Don't know how he figured it out, but he got that thing up over that spike and over again and got out.
Be lucky you didn't dig the spike out.
Yeah, it was so bad with my first Mastiff, with her, because she would do the same thing to lawnmowers. And so my dad wouldn't mow the lawn. This was like 20 plus years ago. My dad wouldn't mow the lawn unless she would open up the back door and she would go charging out and attack the lawnmower and puncture all the tires. And those are not cheap to replace.
No,
my dad wouldn't mow the lawn unless I took her for at least a 3-mile walk. And by the time I got back from walking her, he'd be done mowing the lawn. And you couldn't trust her with 4-wheelers or lawnmowers or anything like that, because she saw that as a threat and she would just, take them out. And heaven forbid a hot air balloon went by our house, because she tried to get up on the roof. We have a 3-story house. She would literally try to figure out how to get on the roof, because she was going to launch herself off the roof to take down the hot air balloon. And it's like this is a no-fly zone. Trust me, you don't want a gargoyle coming down on you.
That's a big ass dog too. I could just
Connie Corso Mastiff, but I'm like, I am so thrilled that the one that I currently have is a little bit dumber, and her ambitions are, I have a toy, I'm going back to sleep. It's like, yeah, not I am going to go rewire the security system to fry everyone. It's like, no, don't do that.
That is funny though. It's
I've
crazy.
All my life.
It is crazy how intelligent dogs can be.
Oh, they are. There are some breeds where you're just like, what in the hell? Like, the top ones would be Border Collie, Poodles, Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds, and the Connie Corso Mastiff. Dobermans in particular, their brain is wired differently. They have a thought process totally different than any other breed of dog, in the way that they study human beings and they learn from you. They are, in the Connie Corso Mastiffs, they're both problem solvers, and that is such a high sign of intelligence. Our German Shepherd, he likes to use tools, and he will use tools to move his tennis ball around. That is, people might not think that's a huge sign of intelligence, but that is a very, you know,
Oh yeah,
huge
and
sign of intelligence.
you know
Yeah.
they are. I mean, my husky, she you think they are an extremely intelligent dog. Siberian Huskies are used as the lead dog in the sled teams
Yes,
because they can understand the most commands. Okay, and one word commands.
yes,
Okay, and then the Malamutes are used as the muscle, and both breeds can run forever. They have great deal of stamina. However, the Siberian Husky, scientists have said that it's the only breed of dog, and they still are baffled by this one, that can regulate their own metabolism.
right.
So they can run forever, nonstop.
And it's interesting because so Siberian Huskies, usually during they run during the wintertime, but they've got that thick insulated coat. Now you take a similar built dog, the Belgian Malinois, which is a high security dog, and has a coat more like a German Shepherd, but those dogs overheat at 78 degrees.
Yeah,
They literally, like most canine officers, once when they're working with their dogs, they have ice packs, like an ice vest, to put on them because they will overheat themselves.
yeah, and
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 it's
huskies.
it's mind boggling how dogs that are built very similarly, they are good at different things and perform differently under the same situations.
This time of year, she won't go outside if it's too warm for more than 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, my I've got a black Connie Corso, so she's like she
Yeah,
goes out, she does her business, she wants back in because she's like it's hot out here.
yep. And she's pure white though. Well, not all pure white anymore. She was pure white when we got her about 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's been about 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. She's 5 years old right now because we got her when she was what 6 months or 7 months old. She was just a puppy. She knocked me flat on my ass when we went to the kennel. But yeah, she will play games with me too. She'll sit there and come and bug me and let me know she wants to go outside, so I'll go and let her outside. But then she'll backtrack herself and grab a treat or something off the floor to take it outside with her. She does that because she knows from previous experiences that I wouldn't let her take treats outside. So it's like I'm playing you. See, I need to go outside, but when you get to the door to open it, the sliding glass door to go out onto the porch, I'm going to grab a treat quick.
Right.
Yeah. But I love the Huskies because they love to talk and get vocal. Oh my God, I love how they get vocal. That's my
See,
favorite
I
part.
used to breed and show miniature pinchers, um, and then I was a professional groomer for a multitude of years until I burnt out. And I never wanted to see a husky walking through the door because people only bring them in twice a year to get all that undercoat out. And it's like it snows with fur. And so I've never, I've always liked my smooth haired dogs, just because I groom so much. And it's like, I like my min pins, I like my Cane Corso. And then, I have two, I bred my miniature pincher to a toy poodle and we got some doodles, and that's about the fluffiest thing I want to own is my doodles.
Yeah, they're Huskies are a high maintenance dog
Oh
for
yeah,
sure. You got to brush them often, and if you
have a
don't,
good vacuum cleaner.
yeah, if you don't, yeah, we've ruined a few vacuum
Oh
cleaners
yes,
over the
we
years that
go we
we've had
go.
Huskies
Uh,
because our carpet is supposed to be blue, okay, but it looks white
yep,
right now.
my parents go through at least two vacuum cleaners a year with their German shepherds, and it's like, well, I don't have that problem with my min pins or my Cane Corso. They're wash and go with pert, and you're good.
Well, you do have your long hair and short hair shepherds.
Yeah, their shepherds have they're not the long haired. They are your traditional German Shepherd coats, but I swear they blink and five Pomeranians shoot off of them. So it's Like, where the hell did all this hair come from? I just vacuumed. It's like,
That's why all the dogs I ever have is either the short hair like Max was, or my little pitty that I got. She's the short hair. She's she's a quarter lab with 3/4 pit. And
okay.
she is the sweetest little. She
I
is
like all dogs.
absolutely the sweetest one.
I like all dogs, but the thing is, I like huskies the best, so that's why I have always. You know, when I
No,
got out,
that's
moved
just
out
too
here
much
7
hair.
years ago, Nitro came here. You know, that was it. You know, I
Yeah,
forgot what
they're
it was
just
like. You know, I raised one when I raised
just
a
too much
few when I
hair.
was a kid, and then I had a few when I was a younger adult. So I lived in the places I could have dogs. Didn't have leukemia. I never got one again. So,
Yeah, I always thought it would be fun to get a blue tick coonhound until I
oh, those are
realized
nice.
I love the color of them and the size of them, but the constant because Siberian Huskies, Beagles, and Coonhounds and Basset Hounds are dogs that love the sound of their own voice and
Hmm.
will talk for hours. And it's like, are you done yet? Just be quiet. It's nope, they won't.
So I've got video proof of her talking a lot.
Yep,
You know, she had my grandson laughing so hard, and then the more he laughed, the more she got going, and
yep.
it was just too hilarious not to post on YouTube. But, so what other things have you been up to lately? I mean,
Um,
we didn't see it last time we saw you. It was in Milwaukee, and you were a speaker.
yeah, at Milwaukee Paracon.
And if I remember correctly, you were talking about the lizard people.
I'll be
Yes,
right. I'll be
yep,
right back.
yep. So, yeah, um, that one is some people, usually the UFO crowd's more interested in that presentation on the lizard men, but usually when I ask, everybody wants to hear my lake monster presentation. So that is what I have been pretty much doing.
Have you ever looked into the one here?
Which one? Wisconsin has so many lake monsters that it's like every
Yeah,
lake has
all
one.
right. There's a couple that are questionable to me. I've lived here all my life, by the way,
Uh-huh.
in Wisconsin. Okay, I was born and raised. Well, I wasn't born. I was born in Beloit.
Okay.
Okay, um, and that was like right on the borderline. So you know, the hospital was Illinois,
Yep.
but the house was in Wisconsin. So you know, you take your pick. Um, but I was pretty much raised around Madison, the
Okay.
Madison area. Okay, and I know a lot of the history because I did a lot of research into a neighborhood called the Greenbush neighborhood. And then growing up, because of being close to um, my grandfather and he loved to fish, he took me to a
Yep.
lot of the lakes and stuff in the area and a lot of the cool spots. And I got to learn a lot about the lakes while I was there because he'd like to talk a lot. And there's a couple that I don't quite believe in, but the one I'm trying to get out to and meet up with a riverboat captain is the one that's actually gotten attention over in Scotland, I think it was, Lake Pepin,
Oh, Peppy.
Peppy,
Yep.
you
So
know.
yeah, I do know like Chad Lewis has written a book on Lake Pepin and investigated it, and I know Monster Quest investigated there. It's a big body of water, so it is possible that there is something living in there. And people have, I mean, there's been a lot of reports of people, seeing things in that lake. So I think it's possible.
Well,
Um,
I did go out there for kind of like, I guess what you would call a little bit of recon. My wife and I decided,
right,
you know, it was one of those weekends out of the blue. We just decided, okay, let's take a road trip, you
right,
know. So we headed out to the Devil's Punch Bowl,
okay,
Talking
and
about
and
Pepin again.
and we stopped by there, but we didn't actually go down to the lake. We were kind of at we were at Maiden Rock, so we kind of had a, a view from above
Okay.
on like we were looking over from like a cliffside down at the lake, and it was a really you could see quite a bit of it. You couldn't see the whole thing, but I could really see something being in there. That one I believe in. And there was a gentleman that was on one of those shows, Monster Quest or the other
Yes.
one that they had, and he was a riverboat captain, and his riverboat pretty much focuses right in the Lake Pepin area, and he's got a lot to say about that.
Yeah. I believe it's the same riverboat captain that Chad Lewis uh, interviewed in his book,
Probably because Chad
and
Lewis is from that area.
then Nash Hoover did a Chasing Legends episode on Lake Pippin, and they also went out on a riverboat. And I believe it's the same boat captain that all three of them have used. So,
Probably because that's where I got it off of one of those shows. I got
right,
the name, and
right.
I've been in contact with the guy myself. And when we were supposed to meet him, COVID hit.
Yeah,
So we haven't got a chance to go back out there because
right.
it's been kind of a hectic year so far.
Yeah, and
So,
then I kind of happened. Now I'm
well, that's what I meant by a hectic year because you moved. He bought a house, so he
I
had
bought a
everything.
house, and then I also got promoted to a management position. So
Oh, okay.
I got a lot more responsibility at work.
But there's a
That's not
couple.
necessarily a good thing.
There's a couple though that I find hard to believe. Like I'm not sure about Bozo so much, which is the one that's
Right.
supposedly in Lake Mendota. I believe what somebody's possibly seeing there is like maybe a lake sturgeon, a really big one. You know, I don't think they're seeing some lake monster there.
Well, one of the interesting things about Wisconsin is um, back when all these lake monster reports started happening, it was, kind of the P.T. Barnum era. So it became
Yeah,
it became a
that's
quick way to make tourist dollars. Is if you claimed you had a lake monster or something, some weird monster in the woods, people would show up to look for it, and that meant your town had an influx of money, and people were coming to look at
well,
how much
of
the
course.
food bag,
Well, look what Rhinelander did.
yeah,
Yeah, that's they
yeah,
did that to boost tourism.
yes.
You know,
Yeah,
and
bring
now
money in.
it's gotten to the point where people have believed in it so much that they actually see things that they believe is the Hodag.
Yeah, and
Well,
people are like, oh, but Rylander has the Hodag. I said, and I'll tell him, yeah, it does. But do you realize that the gentleman Eugene created that creature, and he used to take it to county fairs, and his sons would have to crawl inside this wretched smelling, taxidermied creature to growl at people. And then once it got
Hmm.
so disgusting they couldn't stand it anymore, he'd throw it away and make a new one. And eventually he just came out with, "Hey guys, we made it up."
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Fuji monkey or no, it was the Fuji mermaid. It was like a
Yes,
half monkey,
yep,
half fish
Hmm.
yep,
body sewn together, and it was a P.T. Barnum stuff.
yep.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's why we went. That was interesting, but I don't know. We did a private. Speaking of the circus and P.T. Barnum, since we're on that topic,
Yeah.
we did a private investigation in Baraboo.
I love Baraboo
All right, which has got a lot of P.T.
circus.
Barnum Circus
Yep,
World Museum,
Ridley
all that.
Brothers.
Okay,
Yep,
it's where it all
the Ridley
started.
Brothers. Yep.
It's where it all started. So we were there in Baraboo, and we did this. I'm not going to say too much about the house and the investigation, but I did know that from my research that these houses that we were in and a neighbor came up and said, "Oh, you guys, you done or sometime you gotta come check out my house. There's all kinds of paranormal activity going on over here. It's haunted, I swear." But back in the early days of the circus,
Yep.
they had the sideshows,
Yep.
which they called the freak shows,
Yep.
right? Well, where these houses are is where they all lived back then.
Yep.
Okay, and they weren't treated very good back then on that land. Good chance there's something there, you know.
True. Very
You know,
true.
a lot of paranormal activity because of, like, back to what you said earlier, the trauma.
Yep.
You know,
Well, I can
Yeah.
actually I can actually contest to the fact that I had equipment failure in that house.
yeah, I forgot about that. You did,
Yep.
didn't you?
Yep.
But we did find
And
some.
the woman that lived there went upstairs with me. I had my camera. I set my camera in the unfinished part of the basement on a tripod. I
No, it
physically
wasn't a
plugged it.
basement. It was like
Oh,
the
not
attic.
basement. I mean the attic. I meant the attic. Anyway, I physically plugged my camera into a outlet,
Okay.
so I wouldn't have a problem with battery dying or anything like that,
And you
right?
could see that it was charging.
And it was, yeah, and I had my voice recorder with me, and I went, and she was watching from the doorway, and I pushed the button to start it, and I had the part out, so I could see and everything, and I got it focused where I wanted, and I pushed the button to start recording, and then I left it where it was, went downstairs, and we continued with doing EVPs, thermal. I kept getting a hit on my thermal. Um, Joe's wife Tanya was behind me with their camera. So we were doing all that, and we were getting ready to leave. And so I took my voice recorder with me, and I went upstairs to retrieve my camera. And I started an EVP on the stairs before I got to the door. I walked through the door, and I'm starting to talk into it, and I look, and the camera's off. Literally, like somebody had turned the damn thing completely off.
And nobody was near it.
And nobody was near it. Everybody was downstairs.
Yeah. Baraboo is really cool. About, I want to say 8 years ago, when I was doing travel writing, I went there, and I did Circus World, and I did the Big Cat Sanctuary that's out there. And
Yeah.
one of the things I also was able to do was, there was a lady who was doing a ghost tour or ghost walk around the local town. So she took me to all the different locations, including the Baraboo Inn that was being renovated, and told me, the stories about each location. And it was really interesting, how many different layers of history were being involved in the different hauntings. And because you got Baraboo was essentially established because that's where the Ringling brothers and the family decided to have their wintering grounds, whereas everybody else went south to Florida, to Kissimmee. And so you got that history right there with it being the circus area, but then you've got all the other elements of history there too. So I've just always thought Baraboo was very, very uh, cool little town. And then it's just like 10 minutes away from Wisconsin Dells, which
Yeah.
is like Atlantic
Well,
City for the
Another
Midwest.
crazy
which
place.
also because and that also makes for Baraboo's also got a very native. If you go further back before Ringling Brothers, it had a very Native American
Yes. Yep.
history as well. Because um, Wisconsin Dells, back when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, they used to have um, actual original Native American. Well, they didn't call them that back then. They called them Indian trading posts.
Uh huh.
And the stuff, when you looked at it, it was made by the local tribes that were
Right.
still in the area. Okay. Nowadays, you see an Indian trading post that says made in Taiwan or
Right.
Mexico or, someplace that isn't here. And they had a stand rock ceremony and a different kind of cool ceremonies that you could see. And it was a cool experience back then. But that was back when Fort Dells still existed, in Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
Now it's one big tourist trap.
Wisconsin has just so many cool towns and interesting little places. It's like, I'm like, you guys, that's not fair. You guys have too much cool stuff. Gotta let other people, like, you have 3 different cities that claim to be the UFO capital of the world.
One of them's a bust. One of them's a bust.
Oh,
I'm going to say that right now. One of
okay.
them's a bust. I went there, and I'm like, are you kidding me? No, this can't be. That's a joke,
But then you got like Mount Horeb, which has the trolls in it.
Oh, I love that
Everywhere.
town. I love
That
that town.
it's so fun. You've got your vampire reports. You've got haunted locations everywhere. You've got
The
lake
Little White
monsters.
Vampire.
You've got Dogman or the Beast of Bray Road. You guys just have too much cool stuff there. It's not fair.
And then, and then, and then, yeah, there's a lot.
Our fault.
There's, you got the gnomes and the fairies when it comes to Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yep.
And I grew up here and I was oblivious to all of that until we started doing this. I heard stories here and there, but you're a kid, you don't believe some of this stuff.
Right.
And then when we started doing this and because of what I went through, yeah, I got a very open mind. I believe anything's possible. You look at that Kettle Moraine Forest area.
Oh
And
yeah. I've never been into the kettle.
yeah, I
but
believe Bigfoot could be in there.
But I've heard there's enough people who say that they have witnessed Bigfoot activity in there, and people that
Finding Jay is
respect
pretty
a lot.
convincing.
Jay, Jay
Yeah.
has seen stuff. Linda Godfrey has seen stuff in there. There's been a lot of reports coming out of Kettle Moraines, and it's lots of potential in there.
Here.
Yeah, we were supposed to go out with Jay. I think we're still supposed to catch up with him, but it's just conflicting schedules or something going on.
Right.
You guys brought up UFOs.
What's that?
This is that picture I took a long time ago.
Marshall? Is this the Marshall picture?
Yep, when I lived in Marshall.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to remember what I was looking for. Now, I don't have my glasses on.
I want to ask Shanda, what do you see there?
Well, the cloud formation itself looks very UFO saucer, but then I see a black or a darker object within the white cloud. So it's not quite sure. Yep, you're zooming in there. Okay. So yeah, that's the Great Lakes are known for lots of UFO activity.
That's something solid.
Yes, it is.
Do you see a cloud on top of a cloud, or do you see something solid inside that cloud?
I see something solid inside the cloud.
The only reason I say that is because I believe what Mark was telling me about it when he was trying.
Yeah, to me it looks like there's a dark saucer within the cloud.
Right here.
But the cloud surrounding it looks saucer-like too. So maybe it is.
Didn't you say your camera locator was trying to lock on that?
Yep.
When you were taking the
Have you ever used an Android phone with the camera?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm actually on right now. I have an Android.
Yeah, it was trying to
lock on that red square. That red square kept trying to lock on that.
Right. Okay.
Which is
me that believes it's something solid.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Now, what prompted me to want to take that picture? I was on my way home from work, and I'm looking at the clouds, and it looked really cool because you seen the white cloud, but then this really dark black cloud was imposed over top of it.
I think
And you had the sun behind you. And I thought it looked really cool. So when I had the chance to pull over, I pulled over, I grabbed my phone, and fired up my camera, and I go like this out the window after rolling it down to take a picture, and it's like, where'd the cloud go?
Right.
And that was all that was left. And that little red square kept trying to lock on that.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay, so I brought it in a little bit, and then I snapped the picture. And then I put it away. Didn't think anything of it until after I got home. And then when I got home, started looking at it, and I'm like, that kind of looked funny. So I plugged the phone into the computer and downloaded it into the computer so I'd have the photo viewer on the computer. And I had a 32-inch screen at that time, so I was able to bring it up even more. And that's what I caught. So,
cool.
And when I do show it, I try not to indicate anything that, try to.
Right.
I want anybody that sees it to tell me what they're seeing, not what I think they're seeing or what I think I see.
Well, what I thought was interesting was the cloud formation itself looked like a classic flying saucer shape. So maybe that was its cloaking, method.
It may be.
Yeah.
But when I was looking to take that picture, that whole cloud that was there, that whole white cloud, had a black cloud imposed over it. It looked like like a storm type cloud imposed over top of it. But when I was able to find a safe spot to pull over and get my camera, by the time I got all that done, that's all that was left.
Huh. Interesting.
Let's see if I found it.
What other picture are you talking about, Joe?
This one of my favorites that we've seen.
Oh, yeah. That's out at Lee's place.
Oh, yep.
Have you seen this one before?
No, I haven't, but I've seen various pictures of Lee's property that people have posted. So I know he gets a lot of different activity out there.
Oh my God!
With Dogman
and this one's one of my favorite pictures that we saw when we went and visited Lee the first time. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the second time it was at night.
Yeah, the second time we did that night investigation out there.
If you zoom in on this, it looks more and more interesting.
It looks like a dragon.
That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it, and I still can't figure out.
Look at it again.
But then again, the more you look at it, it could be a sandhill crane.
It could be, but wow, that looks like a pterosaur or a dragon to me. So
but it'd have to be an awfully big one.
Yeah.
It's not. It's. Well, actually, that's the camera at the back. Hang on. Here's how we can do this. That's about midway between the camera and the house. Okay. Now, in the framework, when you zoom in on it,
my miniature picture wants to join
that thing is about the size of the house. No, not that. The house next to it.
This house. Yeah.
And it's perfectly in line with it there.
I think this is Lee's barn.
No, that's not his barn.
Oh, it must be over this way more then.
His barn's way the hell over there.
But that looks.
Right. And that's about halfway between the camera and the house.
Right. Yeah,
so
that's quite a large object.
Whatever that is, it's a fairly large object.
Yeah.
But looking at it now, this is my first thought when I seen it. You've heard of the Aztec serpent, the flying serpent god that they worship. Yeah, Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl, yep.
That looks to me. That's what that looks like,
Well, there's also a pterosaur
and that's
species
because of
called,
that head.
yeah, there's
That
also a
head looks kind
pterosaur
of like a
species.
horse's head.
Yeah, there's also a pterosaur species called Quetzalcoatl neuropia, which was one of the biggest pterosaurs ever discovered. It has a uh, wingspan longer and wider than a Cessna airplane. So that's quite a sizable animal. But yeah, that's a very impressive photo.
Yeah, I mean here, this camera is on his property line in the very back,
It's one
Right.
of like 5 on his
and
property.
he has something like 5 of them that he's got up. He is
I like
constantly
I
doing stuff.
we as much as we've talked to Lee, he is a extremely credible man in my eyes.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You know, he is not trying to do this for popularity or 15 minutes of fame or something.
Right, right.
He's just as intrigued of what this stuff is as we are. He wants
Yep.
answers,
Yep.
you know.
It is his property after all.
Yeah, and he didn't buy it for this. He bought it for the hay. You know.
Yep.
But yeah, he's a very very nice guy. So yeah, but we had a very interesting time there at night. That night thing was the most interesting thing on his property we ever had.
Yeah, and we have some corresponding audio that's kind of intriguing as well.
Yeah, well, we don't want to discuss that right now. We can tell her when we go off the air.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh,
I'm not discussing it. I just said we have some
Yeah, when
it's
we
a,
go to Milwaukee,
corresponding. We got some corresponding audio that's intriguing.
when we
okay.
go to Milwaukee and we're at the paranormal conference, we're going to have Lee Hampel joining us, and we're going to be talking Bray Road, and we're
Okay.
going to hopefully release our never before seen footage that we have.
Okay.
If we can ever get it edited,
Yeah, well, there's like 8 hour, well, more than 8 hours from that Saturday of us just sitting in the garage talking with, or the barn talking with him. And then a couple, 2, 3 hours of filming while we're out there on the ATVs and we're following in your car, you know, surveying the property and listening to the
and
stories
then we
there.
got all the overnight stuff when we went with
And then all
Dan.
that overnight investigation stuff. Plus, the first day drive down is going to be added. Actually,
Yep.
driving down Bray Road that night, that one night that we did, that was kind of creepy. So, yeah, it's a lot to put together, and we've only got 2 months to get it done.
Just 2 months.
It's not my fault.
That is, it's all your.
Whatever.
Every time I'm supposed to come over there and we're supposed to work on it, it never gets to that point. We end up
Whatever.
getting sidetracked on other things
And I fire up the grill.
and firing up the grill, right?
Hey, if you
Always a
hadn't
good
had a
time.
grill, if you hadn't had a grill for 7 years, what in the hell would you do?
I'd be firing it up every day too. So yeah,
Anyway,
that's what we're up to. But yeah, I like the cryptids. They're one of my favorites. Oh, there's another puppy. There's that same puppy.
Same puppy. She's being very needy right
he's
now. So
being nosy.
Like she wants
yeah,
to.
Nosy.
her daughter's sitting on the floor, spinning around in a circle, trying to chase her tail, and her mommy is like, I don't know what's wrong with my kid.
I'm lucky. I don't have more than one dog. She won't allow it. She's queen of the house, and she's going to stay that way. She won't let another dog come in the house.
Well, the little one
And,
who just popped up on screen is my most dominant dog
and
in the
it's
house.
strange for a pack dog.
She's 7 pounds, but she rules the Connie Corso, who's 150 pounds, and to do what it can and cannot do. But her children are just like, whatever, mom. We're gonna do what we want to do. They travel with me. They go everywhere with me. So uh, they are usually at the Paracons with me. Next week, only one of them is going with me, but normally for the Paracons, they all travel with me. They love to travel, so it's something we enjoy doing.
That's a good thing.
It took her a while to get used to car rides, but she loves them now. So we take her. We go to Farm and Fleet. We take her. She gets to go in with us and walk around. She loves that.
Hmm.
You know, yeah, she loves car rides. You know, sticks her head out the window.
Well, so does he.
But she won't let another dog in the house. I tried. I got called because people know that
Oh,
I can. I'm trained with huskies. I've pretty much raised huskies all my life, whether it be a Malamute or a Siberian or mix. Um, so I got called about this one, and his name was Major, and I tried to rescue him, and I brought it. I had to bring him here because where he was going, where I had a home set for him, it wasn't going to work because I realized that the woman that said, "Oh, I'll take him," and I got there, and it's like, I don't think so. You can't
Right,
handle this dog, and no, your apartment's too small, too many breakables. No, you ain't gonna like this. You can't even take him for a walk. So it wasn't gonna work. So so eventually found him a good home, but I brought him back here for 24 hours, and I had to keep the two of these two separated because it got pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't like try to get dominance. It was a lot worse than that.
right.
She got bent out of shape, and it's like, okay, forget this. So yeah,
well, you can't really say that it's strange for her because she's a pack dog. She's already in her pack.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying she didn't. Yeah, she won't let another dog in the house. You
Yeah.
know, maybe to visit once in a while if the dog's smaller than her by a lot, but she's got some dogs that'll pass by out here. She'll bark at, and others she'll say, "Hey, wait, you got to stop and say hi." But yeah, she's that way with her yard too. She's very protective of her yard. Dogs don't step in her yard unless she likes to. Very picky dog. But I spoiled her, so I guess that has something to do with it too.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it's all my fault. I wouldn't have it any other way. She's my puppy. She's always a puppy.
and this is her daughter Tigan, who
Oh wow.
has has chosen to join us.
That's
So,
totally different look.
say hello to everyone. This is our little doodle girl. I know you're such a good girl. Okay,
Okay. That
They want attention.
you can't see too much facial expression because she's all black, but
yeah, she's all
she's a cute little girl.
So,
she's all wavy.
do you want to promote what's coming up before we call this? Went over the hour here. Mark's looking like he's gonna fall asleep.
I ain't gonna fall asleep. I'm just relaxing,
But
stretching my arm.
So
I'm
I
trying to stretch a little bit.
So next weekend I have my Paracon up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. It's one of the biggest Paracons in the country. Then we have Labor Day weekend, and then the weekend after that is Dewey Lake Monster Conference
Yeah.
in Dewaganac, Michigan.
You said you're a Paracon. Are you actually sponsoring it, or
No,
do you?
it's called My Paracon because
Oh, okay.
Michigan Paracon, so they just call it MI Paracon, My
yeah,
Paracon.
I've
Okay. I
seen that
just I
before.
wanted to clarify.
Yep,
That's
yep.
been
I
going
am
on for quite a
sponsoring it.
few years.
They're actually
Well,
having me
I'm saying I
presentation.
just want to clarify
Yep,
because I'm sure there's some people that don't know that.
yep.
Uh,
So MI Paracon, Michigan Paracon, it's one of the biggest ones in the country, and they will have everybody from ghost hunters there to Destination Fear to like the Expedition Bigfoot
those
team.
guys, I met those guys. I met one of those guys once. The Ghostbusters are out of like Chicago, I think.
No, ghost hunters are, I
Oh,
believe
Ghost
they're
Hunters.
from Massachusetts or New Hampshire or something like that. I know they're on the East Coast, but they go to all the different
Uh,
Paracons.
well,
Um,
I saw one that was
yeah,
out of
You're
so
not talking
they're
Chicago.
about taps, are you?
yeah, Taps. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Taps team.
The
They'll
taps
be
team is going to
there.
be there.
So there lots of the big names. So, but that's a very big conference. So they'll have all the big names there, and then 2 weeks later, I'll be at Dewey Lake Monster Conference down in Dwaganac, Michigan. Dewey Lake Monster is supposedly a Bigfoot type creature. So we will have like Ron Moorhead is our headliner for the event, and we'll have other Bigfoot presentations there. So that's just a 1 day event, Saturday, September 10th. And then I think I have a week end off, or maybe not. And then I go to Jefferson County Bigfoot and Paranormal Conference in Pennsylvania. And then the final weekend of September, I am going geode hunting in Keokuk, Illinois. And then October, I have library presentations. I have to teach at community college, so I'm not doing too much on the weekends other than
That was weird.
my normal Halloween spooky fun filled weekends where it's like, hey, we're gonna go look at this.
Cool.
I've got one paranormal investigation at the beginning of October, and I believe it's called the Gilman House in Ohio. So I'll be doing that one, and then November I will be at Michigan Paranormal Conference, and that's it for in-person appearances. But I'm always working on the magazines, always writing, and so that takes up a good portion of my time.
Sounds like you're busy and gonna have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's never boring here.
Awesome. All right, Joe.
We're out of here.
Okay.
Next time, next Friday. So far, no guests.
Yeah, you never know.
You never
We'll
know.
find somebody possibly.
We'll keep somebody posted. So stay safe, everybody. Remember, anything's possible. We'll see you next week, one way or the other.